Hello everybody, it's Kirk here with Space Pickle Designs. Today I have a new plier haul set. As you can see, I have two sets of pliers as well as two extra on the side here. So if you'd like to see my initial thoughts on these pliers from Beadalon, then just keep on watching. So I am going to start with one of the sets first. I'll start with the Nylon inner jaw pliers kit because I think that this is the one that most people are curious about. I did have an extra, just the flat nose pliers as well to add to the kit because it didn't come with it in this kit. So we'll put these off to the side. And my initial thoughts are, I'm so sad that the green wasn't as green as it was kind of showing on the website. I was hoping for like a very bright, like obnoxious green, but not everyone is as obnoxious as I am, so I understand it. But in the hand, they do feel very grippy. So if you're looking at like these here, right, you kind of got that sticky feel. These are a very like basic beginner set, which does well, but in order to just kind of upgrade my tools over time, I thought I'd pick up these sets. And so the grip itself is not that smooth. It definitely has a texture to it. And so I'll move in here. You definitely see a texture to the handle. And I think it actually feels better. It feels like it would get maybe less sweaty if you're the type of person who has clammy or sweaty hands. And so I'm going to go ahead and unbox this set here. And it comes out in this case. Let's kind of back that up a little bit, and you can see that it's already getting some fuzzies on that. If you have pets, just be wary of that. It looks like the type of fiber, yeah, that would pick up legit everything. This is fresh out of the box, and it already has a lot of like paper dust residue. All right, opening them up. You know, the case is not a deal breaker for me, honestly, because I don't even travel with a case most of the time. And so I don't keep my pliers like this. I take them off and put them on acrylic racks that are also sold by Beadalon. So let's see, we get our semi-flush cutters out here first. And this is what they look like. Let's take a piece of wire here and try to flush cut it. So we'll go this side. And so zooming in, get a real good look. So it definitely is not a perfect flush cut, but I think for getting the job done, it definitely would. Like it's close enough, right? Here are my brand new flush cutters. And so as you can see, this is like a pretty flat little edge there. Let's look at it from the other side of like the beveled side. Yeah, obviously we have a pretty good bevel on there to a point. Let's look again. And I would say that pretty much gets the job done. You can see that it isn't quite flat, but yeah, I think it would be suitable to make like wire wrap, or not wire wraps, but wire simple loops with, to where it wouldn't like look like it's unprofessionally done. I'm quite happy with those. What's also nice here is that you see the nylon inserts, right? And so a lot of times you'll get wire that is a little misshapen. So this one's like a little out of straightening, and then in order to warm it up, sometimes you will use like your nylon jaw pliers to kind of warm that up. And so having that all in one is pretty nice, honestly. I think it'll get me some getting used to, right, as with any new tool, but to be able to like warm it up a little bit using the nylon, as well as positioning, right? So if I'm notorious for tool marks. I have a piece over here that I really love, but when I look up close to it, I see the tool marks on it, and it's to the point where it actually bothers me, like I wouldn't sell it. And so maybe at the end here, we'll go through it and see if we can redo it using some of these tools with the nylon pieces. So there are semi flush cutters. I like those. They feel good in the hand. These are the bent chain nose pliers here. And I'm really interested to use these. I do love a good bent chain nose plier. And the same goes for this one. It does have that nylon insert there just in case you need it. So I foresee myself getting a lot of use out of these in particular. And here are the round nose pliers. So we'll go ahead, just do it, see how it feels. And so I didn't pick up the set that was fully nylon coated, but you know, you never know, I might by the end of it. So let's zoom in on this piece. This was very quickly, messily done. We'll see if we can peep any tool marks. There's some on that very first, that top round right there, as you can see from the top. But honestly, to me, that's pretty minimal. There's a little bit on this 1 second from the bottom. And again, I mean, I'm in 6x magnification, just so that you can really see what we're looking at, because I don't know about you, but sometimes those tool marks really do bother me. And if you don't feel like messing with tool magic, a lot of times it's hard to find. You have to keep reapplying it. You know, I want to see if we can find some tools that are pretty good on their own. All right, last up in the pack are the chain nose pliers. And if we are comparing with the Xeron, which are the ones that I really like to use for that fine work, as you can see, these are much wider. So these are much sturdier. These are for your like heavier gauge jump rings. I find that sometimes using these on heavier gauge jump rings are a little more difficult, and really it's not for that. It's for fine working, right? So I do like to pull out my regular chain nose pliers at times to handle those more appropriately. And so I got those, and then because the set didn't have the flat nose pliers, I did pick up those as well. All right, so here I released it from its packaging. As you can see, that packaging did put some dent into the handles here, and this is the only way to buy these. You can't buy them in the set. Obviously, it doesn't come included. So just keep that in mind if it bothers you. I'm not sure if that will come out or not, but here we are. And so I brought out my old flat nose pliers just to give you a look on the size difference here. And it's quite a sizable size difference. And so if you have more petite hands, which I don't, I have a larger hand, these still feel fine, but in my hand, these do feel better. Just the size, I feel like it feels a little bit more sturdy in my hand. Now, obviously, these are just first impressions. We're gonna have to test these out over the next several months to see any benefit or negatives to these, really. All right, so overall, what I did like about this line so far has been the size, the feel of the plier in the hand, the grip texture on the grips itself. I do like those. I do like the fact that these nylon pieces can be replaced over time, although I feel like I am not too hard on my nylon. So I've had these for about 4 years now, and I use them all the time too, and I'm still working with a really, really good level of nylon on these pliers. One thing about these though is that they do not have a spring action to them, so I do have to kind of use my hand like that, which isn't the most comfortable, right? And so with these, all of these do have spring action, not spring in particular, but they do have a bouncy action to them. And so I feel like definitely being able to use the nylon on these is going to eventually be much easier when I get the hang of them. Now, do understand me that these were not cheap, okay? So I got this set, and it also came with a cutter, and I threw that away because I ruined those a long time ago. But this came in a 4-piece set, and these were $14, okay? These have served me well for 4 or 5 years now. I didn't want to update my tools until I knew I was really going to stick with the wire working portion, because as you guys know, I originally was a bead weaver, and so I didn't really have a need for these tools in particular. So I really wanted to make sure that I was going to continue with the hobby before investing in some more long-term pieces here. And so yeah, just know that this set was like $14, and this set, including the extra pliers, is going to run you about $150. All right, so let's compare it to the Slimline plier set. Again, we have that same packaging, okay? That's gonna catch a lot of hair and lint and dirt. And I really like these. Like, you can actually tell the handles are a little bit different color, and I don't know if that was on purpose. But here, we'll see if you can notice. In person, the Slimline is a little bit lighter, and they actually look different too. So let me actually pull out the cutters. So these are semi-flush cutters, and these are the Slimline version, obviously, and then these are the Nylon version. And so as you can tell, the tips on these are much slimmer, perfect for more detail work, as these are probably going to be more for your like heavier duty gauges of wire, maybe not memory wire, of course, right? But your 20s, your 18 gauges, that type of thing. This, I feel like, has more of a precision tip that could probably get into smaller spaces. And so in the hand, this one in particular feels a little bit more flimsy, and it's looking like these pieces right here aren't quite matching up. So let me see if I can actually put those down. But it does look like if they were to match up, maybe the spring would be better. But as they are, they do work. It just feels a little anemic on the spring part right here. All right, so let's get out the Slim line chain nose or bent chain nose pliers here. And so here's going to be the comparison again. I'll do the Slimline in the left hand and the nylon insert in the right hand. Again, I'm really liking how these feel in the right hand, but I do like the detail work and how thin these are. The spring action on this one in particular feels way better, and you can see that these are matching up better too. So I'll actually probably take my tools and see if I can get that piece of metal down in there. Otherwise, it's to me a little bit of a defect. But the spring action on this one feels great. The precision tip looks really good as well, and I do feel like you will be able to use these in certain situations that you can't use those. But you'll have to decide whether or not you prefer the Slimline, because we all love our Xuron tools, right? And so if I had the bent chain nose from Xuron to compare them to, I would love to put that comparison out there, but I don't, and maybe I'll get those in the future. But this is what we're looking like. Overall, I just like how these feel better. They're more sturdy, but I could see how this tool would be more useful in certain situations. All right, next one, we have our round nose pliers. Let's pull those out. And if you're looking at them from the profile, let me go ahead and switch the hands here. I have the Slimline in the left, the nylon insert in the right, and as you can see, that tip looks really much smaller. There is a noticeable difference on the mandrel on these. And so let's just take a little piece here. Since we did make that piece from before, I'll go ahead and cut using these cutters. That cuts all right. And so for the slim line, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit and see how small we can make this little. Again, this is German style wire. And I really do like to bend the wire instead of the pliers, just to minimize those tool marks, right? So let's see how we did. From the eye, I'm not seeing too much. Maybe a little bit over here, if you can see that. There's just a little tiny bit of tool marks here. And I think this will show more when we actually get to make a piece. Because I'll go ahead and bring this up for you to show. This is an experimental piece that I'm working on, but as you can see, this bail here, when I was shaping it, it's just all out of whack. You see all those tool marks, like there's flattened pieces, there's chunks coming out of some of it. And this is a very common thing that we do. We make a double wrap bail, like that's like a pretty common thing, right? And so if I can find a tool that will minimize tool marks on things like this, it's gonna save me a lot of time, because I'm definitely gonna have to rewire work this. All right, last up here in this set is going to be our chain nose pliers, and as you can see, they're a lot thinner. I'll pull the other ones out. And so here's the profile. Here you can see quite a big difference in size. Again, these feel sturdier. The bounciness, the spring action on this feels great. I really feel like it was really just the chain, the semi-flush cutters that were really not great. And so we have those. Again, this is going to be a little more sturdy. This will be used for more things where you need detail work. And so yeah, the difference though in price between this set and the set that I just showed you with the nylon inserts is substantial. And I'm talking maybe like $80–90 less overall. I think the nylon was around $120 for the kit. So without the extra plier that I bought, and I think this one was like maybe $60 or $80. So there is a substantial price difference. And so those are the green pliers. And then last I got this multiplier here, which I've been very curious to learn to use. So let me take some of my old dusty flush cutters here. These are my trash ones, so don't worry. And we're gonna release them from packaging. All right, again, I'm noticing that kind of the divot on the handles, which is a little bit unfortunate, because in my opinion, these are more of an investment piece. Like, I don't really want to buy like multiple sets of multipliers over the course of, you know, the lifetime that I'm doing jewelry if I can avoid it, right? And so trying to spend a little bit more, which these, in my opinion, were a little bit more. Obviously, they're not like top of the line or anything. But yeah, I've never worked with a multi-tool here, so it does say that, let's see if it says semi or flush cut. All right, so yeah, it does say semi flush cutter. So let's see what this cut looks like. All right, so here is going to be the bevel side. And wait a minute. Yeah, okay, here we go. You can see the bevel. I think it's actually less extreme on this one than it is on the nylon jaw ones. But that's going to be the bevel. And then here's the semi-flush cut. And so here's that. Yeah, it's definitely a semi-flush. I actually feel like this flush cut is less good than the ones from the nylon pliers, but just to let you know, that is a thing. And then to be able to, yeah, see, I'm gonna have to, this is gonna be wild for me, so I'll back up a little bit. But being able to do a wire wrap with this tool, that's gonna take a lot that's gonna be different for me. That's gonna take some learning time, just because I'm not used to holding my hand in this direction while making like a loop. And obviously you can see it is definitely not perfect. This one also has a little bit more tool marks on it than maybe the other ones that I have done that I'm used to the hand movement on. So if you can see kind of like a little bit of the tool marks on there. But yeah, we'll see, because this is an interesting tool. I think the ones that I saw before only had the cutter, and then it had just the chain nose pliers on it. And so these chain nose pliers on the multi-tool are closer to the not the circumference, but the width of the nylon jaw. And so if we're holding up the slim line, you can see that there is a substantial difference. And then I'll hold up the chain nose from the nylon, and they are even bigger still. So this is like kind of right in the middle. So it looks like they're trying to strike a balance when it comes to these pliers. But we'll see. I might end up selling them, because just from that very little bit there, it felt pretty weird. But we'll see. I really wanted to try these out. And so yeah, there we are. So those are the pliers. If that's all you wanted to see, those were the first impressions, the unboxing, so to speak. But I thought we would go ahead and try to repair her. And I think I'm going to use probably the nylon jaw, just because I just kind of liked those right off the bat. And so we'll take these. I'll actually take my actual flush cutters here. And what I'm going to do is take this pendant and rework it. So I'll kind of show you what we had going on here. And so here's a bead cap. I'll zoom you in. Here's our bead cap. Here is the wire worked. This is a wire worked piece, not a wire worked, a bead woven piece. So I actually have 2 beads I want to try to get out of here. And so these beads were really just space holders. So those are just fire polish beads from my bead mix here. Okay, and so I wanted it to kind of look like a tree, so I just did a simple little like brio wrap, so to speak, on this. This is a beautiful tiger eye tube, right? So let's go ahead and cut this part off and kind of bend it through. I don't want to scratch my tiger eye, even though you won't be able to see that top part. I still don't want to scratch it. So here's the tube that we're working with. Let's get a good piece of, this is 20 gauge German style wire in gold. And I'm just cutting off enough to where like I know I'm not going to be wasting it. And so I got a good 8 inches here at least. And what I really want to do is I want to put this as snug as possible. And so I just do a little bend here, and then we'll take our chain nose pliers like this. We are going to bend the longer wire up, and I kind of want to sit it down close to the tiger eye, and then taking the chain nose again, just kind of bend that like this. So this is kind of what we're looking at. I'm going to hold this in place and then take my Xeron just to kind of secure this with one little wrap. You really don't need more than that. And so I did like the control that this kind of gave. And so I'm just going to cut the excess off. All right, so here's what we have. I just wanted it to be a low profile because I wanted really the stability, and also for it not to extend outside of my bead woven piece. And so this is just a peyote tube that's been embellished, and I'm working on a tutorial for it, but I haven't perfected it yet. And so what I want to do, since it is a peyote tube, I'm going to feed on these 2 fire polish beads. I'm actually going to do it in a different direction. So I'm going to do the pink bead first, and then the gold up top. You'll have to play with the sizes of beads when it comes to your tube. All right, so now I got to feed on bottom first when it comes to my bead woven part, and now it's like sitting up there. This is kind of what the underside of this little pendant looks like, right? And so I kind of like to pet my little beadwork downward here, and I really thought that this bead cap kind of finished it off. Well, I do see that when I cut the wire, I actually cut a little bit of that bead cap, so I'm going to find a replacement real quick. All right, so I found a replacement bead cap here. It's the same one, just a newer one. And so I'm putting it on my piece here. And what I want to do is take the round nose pliers and make a double wrap loop on top here. So I'm bending it over, and then I'm taking the wire and bending it just to minimize those tool marks again. Bending it around, right? And then trying to kind of make sure my loop is looking pretty good. We can make some little micro changes on the back end, but you kind of want to make sure it's looking pretty good. And so I'm going to feed it into my pliers once again, bend that wire up, change the position of my plier, bend it down and around, and now you have 2 full loops here with a gap to where you can wire wrap. And so here is what they are looking like. I'm going to straighten them up just a tiny bit here, and I'm going to take the nylon portion. I think this is a good time to kind of test out that nylon portion here. I'm going to get my chain nose just for the sake of using the tool here, see if we can get a good wrap. Right, so it's pretty sturdy. Again, I'm gonna get that chain nose or the nylon jaw action here. Just kind of maneuver it with my hands here. So these are our wraps. And again, pet your pendant. All right, so here's what it's looking like. Let's kind of do those micro adjustments right here. So we're looking pretty good. Let's use our nylon. Okay, and now I'm going to use my cutters to cut off that little piece that we got left. And so, do we need to tuck? Yes, we do. There's a little bit that's sticking out there. All right, and then we want to make sure that the loops are on straight as possible. And here is our new bail. Now let's look for tool marks. I'm already seeing quite a bit less tool marks. I really think it's due to that end part. Most of my tool marks came from the end part where I didn't use nylon jaw pliers and I was holding the loops like this, but I was using the chain nose like that on it, and so I was squishing it out of round and all that. So I think this looks pretty acceptable. She's ready for a jump ring and a necklace and a home to go to, right? And so yeah, that's just my first little demo with these pliers. Alright, so here was my first impressions of the Beadalon tool sets here in the slimline and the nylon jaw insert ones, as well as that multi-tool, that multiplier up in the top left corner. So obviously, you know, I can't make a recommendation just yet. I say this is probably a good option if you're looking to look at a new plier set. But again, there's some pros and cons I've already pointed out, but the true test will be in about a month or so after using these pretty consistently to see whether or not I recommend them, especially over my Xeron that I already have that I love. And so yeah, let me know down below if you picked up any of these plier sets or any of the other new plier sets from Beadalon, and let me know what you think. Until the next one, guys, I hope you're staying safe and well, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.